Hi guys, I'm Dr. Tara Tobias. I want to welcome you all back to my channel. As promised, this is part 2 in a 2-part series going over how to help a heavy leg. So hopefully you found the last video helpful. If you haven't watched it yet, that is definitely a prerequisite for this video because we are going to the opposite extreme. We're going to be adding on a lot of difficulty in this video, so you really want to focus on the stuff in the first video before you progress onto these exercises in this video. So what are we going to be doing today? As I threw out that little teaser in the last video, we are going to take those same movements and learn how to do those in standing. Now, I told you in the last video that these movements are a lot of times harder in standing and sometimes people just can't do them in standing. So that is confusing for a lot of people. You can do it laying down and then you get up to standing and you can't do it. So there's a few reasons for that. Standing is a lot more intense on the body. So as I've mentioned in a lot of other videos, when your body is tensed, that can make spasticity worse. And one of those abnormal movement patterns or spastic patterns is extension. So you stand up, that spasticity that extends your leg is worse. And so therefore lifting the leg means you have to bend the hip and bend the knee, which is opposite to that spastic pattern, and you just can't do it because it's stuck in that spastic pattern. So that's one reason that might cause your leg to feel heavy. The other reason is this thing called dissociation. I've also talked about this before. That's why I love half kneeling. So I talked about it in the half kneeling position. Dissociation is when you can separate the left side of your body from the right side of your body. And a lot of times after a stroke, you lose that. So whatever the left side of the body or whatever one side of the body does, the other side of the body wants to do it as well. So you can see how this would be challenging. So when you're standing on one leg, that leg needs to be straight. And therefore the involved leg that you're trying to bring through is also gonna straighten out and vice versa. So if any of you feel like you can't lift up your involved leg, the same thing happens. So your involved leg is now needs to stay straight because you're standing on it. And when you go to try and bend your uninvolved leg, it just won't bend. And that really confuses people because they're like, this is my strong leg. How come I cannot lift it up? How come I cannot bend it? So you could be dealing with that as well. And that is the purpose of the progression that we're going to go through today in standing. And let's go ahead and just dive right in. The first step in this progression is going to be, with everything I just said and all that explanation, I hope it made sense. The objective of this first exercise is to learn how to dissociate. So learn how to keep one leg straight while at the same time bending the other leg in standing. The reason this is more challenging in standing is because your brain knows that when you go to lift your involved leg or try and bend your involved leg, even if it's someone else, even if your therapist goes to bend it, which I do a lot of times in therapy, it's near impossible. Because your brain knows that when you bend that involved leg and try and lift it up, your other leg is gonna bend and it's gonna buckle and you are going to fall. So it makes that extension even a little bit stronger with your brain kind of putting the brakes on saying, I don't wanna fall. Our brains are an extremely valuable safety mechanism, built-in safety mechanism that we have. That is why I have taken this stool, and you can use your involved arm and you can use your strong arm to lift your foot up on the stool while you are still sitting. And then with your strong arm, you are going to try and stand up on your uninvolved leg. And really, you're just gonna hold it. So right now, what your brain is learning is it's learning how to stay extended on your strong leg while letting the other leg bend. And once you get in this position, you really, really, really wanna focus hard on trying to relax that involved side of your body as much as possible, while also really fighting to keep that strong leg straight. Because remember, when you bend your involved leg, your other leg might want to bend. So those are the two things you need to think about, is stand up real strong on your strong leg, and on your weak leg, try and keep it relaxed so it can stay bent. Once you feel like you can do this, you can work on trying to move the foot forward and backwards, just little tiny movements while it's in this flexed position. That accomplishes a few things. You're already starting in a flexed position, which is a little bit easier than having to start with a leg in an extended position, because you're usually having to overcome that spasticity. So by putting the foot on the stool first before you even stand up, you're decreasing the chances that you're going to go into that extensor spasm. The next thing I always like to do in this progression is work eccentrically, or start with the leg up and work on bringing it down, which is just the reverse of what you're trying to do, but it's usually an easier way of doing it. So I just chose to go to a smaller block in this scenario. The size of the step or the size of the block that your weak leg is on doesn't really matter, but you're again gonna put your leg up on that block before you even stand up. Definitely hold on to something to do this. Remember, it's not just about balance, but it's also about just relaxing your brain a little bit, giving your brain that additional support so the chances of that spasticity occurring are a little bit less. And then you're gonna work on taking the foot off the front of the step. So you're working it in reverse. So instead of bringing the leg up, you're working on starting high and bringing it down. And then if your leg is really heavy, I don't think you're gonna be able to put the leg back up on the block standing. So you'll sit back down, reposition the leg on the block, and then do it again. Try and bring it off the front of the block. Another exercise that I really like is, again, starting with the leg bent before you even stand up. Again, so you don't have to overcome that extensor spasticity. And put it on something that's roll shaped. So putting it on something that only rolls in one direction. So that's why I like these foam rollers. And with your foot on there, you're just gonna try and do a little roll forward and a little roll back. If your leg is extending and going off of the roll, try it in sitting first and then try it in standing. It still may do that, and if it is doing that and you can't control it, go back to having it on a block or a step. It just means that you're just not ready for this exercise. And then this last and final one is really advanced. I am only showing this for those of you that are extremely high level and you maybe just have a little tiny, what I call hitch in your walking. You can try and do this. So now we're gonna set it on a ball. A little bit of a heavier ball is going to be easier to control. So for instance, a volleyball in my mind is extremely lightweight. That might not be as good as, let's say, a basketball, which is a little bit heavier. And again, you're gonna set your foot on it before you stand up. And you're gonna do exactly what you did with the previous exercise of the log roll, of the foam roll. Only now the ball moves in multiple directions, so you have more planes of movement that you have to control. And you're still gonna work on just trying to roll it forward and backward. If your knee goes out to the side, which is extremely common after a stroke, this would be a great opportunity to not let it because the ball is almost gonna make it easier for that knee to go out to the side and for that leg to go out to the side. If you can't control that, remember connection. We are connecting. So whatever you are practicing, your brain is learning. I know I say that a lot, but I feel like it's worth repeating. If you are not using good quality movement, it's not helping you as much as it could if you went to an easier activity that you could perform with good quality movement. So if your knee's flopping out to the side or you can't keep your foot on the ball, go back to the previous exercise. If you have an AFO, definitely wear your AFO for these. Now, some therapists might disagree with me on that. Some patients even disagree with me on that. How's my ankle supposed to get stronger if I have my AFO on? Work on that separate. Work on ankle strengthening separate. If there's too much going on and your brain has to think about too many things at the same time, nothing gets accomplished. So control what you can so you can focus on specific movements and the end goal is always going to be to bring it all back together. And then there's just one more exercise that I'm going to add to this. You can do this with one arm, but I love also having patients use a wall. So you're going to face the wall with either one hand. You should be able to support yourself in this position, even if you can only extend one arm and have one hand up on the wall. But this is another great position to work on learning how to lift that leg. The benefit of this position over the other positions, I'm not going to say where this one falls in the progression. I think they're both equally valuable. You do need to be able to stand, so I would say if you can't stand, then you can't do this exercise. But between this and having your foot up on the block, they're addressing really two different issues or two different problems that cause the leg to feel heavy. So this would just be another exercise that you can do, but you're gonna start with your hands on the wall. And in this position, your ankle is dorsiflexed, so your ankle is flexed, so it can't point because your body weight is keeping it flexed. And what that does a lot of times is it's what we call it breaks up that extensor pattern. So just by flexing the ankle like that, a lot of times you'll break up that whole extensor pattern. So if you have a very strong extensor movement pattern, abnormal movement pattern, this would be a great position because that ankle is flexed. And then you're just gonna work on bending the knee and sliding the foot forward. So you can see you're still getting that hip and that knee flexion, but it might be a little bit easier because your ankle starts in a flexed position, so you're not going to be as likely to go into that extensor pattern. If you feel like you can't unlock your knee, don't go to full extension. Keep the knee bent the entire time and just slide it forward and then bring it back. And you can do that as many times as you need to. And then you can progress this to where you're actually lifting the leg up and bringing it forward and then bringing it back. Just another variation, different position. For some it's gonna work, for others it's not gonna work. But I just like to give a variety so you have a lot of options and a lot of different positions. In case one position doesn't work, you can try another position. So that is it. So I hope you all found this helpful. If you have a heavy leg, go ahead and just comment below and let me know if you did these exercises, if they were helpful. Keep leaving comments. This video was created because I had more than one person tell me that they were struggling with this problem. I'm listening to you, I hear you, but if you don't comment, I don't know what you guys want to see. So definitely leave those comments below. So I hope you all found this video helpful and valuable. If you did, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, click that notification bell, and give it a I can't stress this enough. There's a few videos that have over 100 likes, and those are definitely the videos, the content that I focus on when I'm planning the next several months of videos to do, is that those seem to be where people have the greatest problems. So leave a comment below. When I know what you need, it's easier for me to help you. And that is it. That's all I have for today. I thank you all so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. And until next time, you all have a great day.